Think fast. If tomorrow you woke up and discovered that your job no longer existed, how long could you keep living at the same standard of living without taking out a loan, without using a credit card, and without selling anything? For many people, the answer is frightening. Perhaps a month, 2, or less. And this has nothing to do with laziness or irresponsibility. It has to do with a silent problem at the heart of most people's financial lives. They don't understand how money really works. Robert Kiyosaki, author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, discovered this very early on. As a child, he had 2 fathers. One was his biological father, well-educated, a teacher, and a believer in the traditional path: get good grades, find a secure job, and climb the career ladder. The other was the father of a friend, an entrepreneur, investor, and someone who understood how wealth was truly built in the real world. These 2 men lived just a few miles apart, but they were in completely different worlds. The poor dad, with a degree and job security, lived paycheck to paycheck. The rich dad, with vision and strategy, made money work for him. And it was from the rich dad that Kiyosaki learned the most important lesson of Chapter 2. The secret is not how much you earn. It's how you use what you earn to build assets. But what are assets? Let's simplify. An asset is anything that puts money into your pocket. A liability is anything that takes money out of your pocket. Sounds obvious, but here's the trick. Most people think they're buying assets, when in fact they're piling up liabilities in disguise. Want to see? The home you live in, according to Kiyosaki, is a liability. This shocks many people, but it makes sense. Every month, it demands maintenance, taxes, bills, repairs, and none of that puts money into your pocket. Now, if you had another property rented out to someone else, that would be an asset, because every month it would generate income. Another example, a luxury car. You work, finance the car, pay insurance, fuel, and maintenance. All that is money going out. It might give you status, but financially it's a liability. Now imagine you had a car working as an asset, rented out to rideshare drivers, generating profit above the costs. Then the story changes. The big mistake is that most people, as soon as their income increases, also raise their standard of living. And with that, they increase their liabilities. Bigger houses, more expensive cars, more luxurious holidays. It's like running on a treadmill. No matter how hard you push, you never move forward. Meanwhile, the rich take a different path. They build assets first and only later use the income from those assets to buy liabilities. Want a real-life example? Imagine you want a new car. Instead of financing it directly from your salary, you invest in a small rental property. The rent covers the car payments. That way, the car is paid for by the asset, not by your work. And this isn't just theory. A study by the US Federal Reserve found that 60% of millionaires built their wealth by investing in long-term assets such as property and shares before increasing their standard of living. In other words, they planted first, then harvested. The rich dad also taught Kiyosaki that it's not enough to simply earn and invest. You must protect your money. This involves understanding taxes and creating smart structures to legally pay less. Most people work for a salary, pay tax before they can spend a single penny, and live on what's left. The rich use companies, investments, and planning to spend before paying taxes, all perfectly legally. This is the difference between playing to survive and playing to win. Those who don't know the rules will always lose to those who do.
Now, let's talk about something rarely discussed: emotions in money. Fear and greed control more financial decisions than any spreadsheet. Fear of loss makes people avoid investments, leaving money sitting in savings accounts, earning next to nothing. Greed makes them spend everything as soon as they earn more. Without emotional control, no strategy will work. Here's a quick test. If tomorrow your salary doubled, what would you do? Most people would instantly raise their spending. But those who understand assets and liabilities would use part of that increase to buy things that generate more income in the future. This mindset creates something called positive cash flow. That's when every month more money comes in than goes out, and the surplus is reinvested to generate even more income. It's like a virtuous cycle that accelerates each year. Here's a fact few people know. According to Gallup, 71% of people who consider themselves financially secure have at least 3 different sources of income. This means that even if one source stops, they remain protected. And guess what? All of those sources usually come from assets. Another powerful example comes from an ordinary couple Kiyosaki met at one of his seminars. They earned the same as their neighbors, but decided never to spend more than 70% of their income. The other 30% was invested in small businesses and property. 10 years later, they had enough passive income to retire, and they kept working only because they wanted to, not because they had to. And here's the key point. Financial freedom is not measured by the size of your salary, but by how long you can live purely from the income of your assets. To start building that freedom, you don't need a fortune. You need vision and discipline. Instead of upgrading your phone every year, invest the difference. Instead of taking on a huge mortgage that maxes out your budget, choose a smaller home and use the extra to build an asset. It takes patience because the return is not immediate. But the rich dad used to say, "Don't work for money, make money work for you." It's like planting a tree. In the first few years, you water, care for, and protect it. Later, it starts to give shade and fruit, year after year, without you needing to plant again. And you know what's incredible? Once you understand assets and liabilities, you begin to see opportunities everywhere. A friend who needs a partner to start a business, a cheap property in a promising area, a franchise with high potential. Opportunities start to appear because your mind is now trained to spot them. So before buying anything, ask yourself 2 questions. Will this put money into my pocket? Will this take money out of my pocket? If the answer is it will take money out, think twice. Perhaps you can buy it later using the income from an asset. In the end, Chapter 2 of Rich Dad, Poor Dad is not about earning more. It's about building the foundation so that money works for you. It's about getting out of the rat race, where you work, pay bills, and repeat forever. It's about shifting your mindset. Stop being a consumer and start being a builder of assets. This change doesn't happen overnight. It starts with small steps, but each step in the right direction shortens the distance to your financial freedom. The question is, will you keep running on the treadmill, or will you start planting the seeds that will sustain your life forever? And if you enjoyed this content, subscribe to the channel, give it a like, and leave your comment. It costs you nothing, but it's incredibly valuable to me and motivates me to keep bringing you even more rich content. That's all from me for today. See you in the next video.